What would I were to tell you that there's a game that involved occult, mystery, and death, and wrapped around it all, a controversial rap figure. The game we're going to be talking about today is called Kanye Quest 3000. On the surface, it's just one of those normal parody games parodying all the big rappers as you play as Kanye West, trying to be the #1 rapper in the world by taking out the likes of Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Drake, and a bunch other more. But on the surface, it seems just like a normal parody. But beneath it all lies a pile of mystery and weird things that lead and connect to a cult, and all ties around a religion called Ascensionism. Now, the religion Ascensionism is the belief of reincarnation, where once you die, you become someone completely new. Now, the religion itself didn't really get much buzz until the early 2000s. In fact, I couldn't find really much before the early 2000s about Ascensionism at all. So what I'm leaving to believe is that the Ascensionism started around the early 2000s. Now, there's only been 2 people listed as the creator or leader of Ascensionism. One person by the name of Valerie, and the other named being Nick Lyons. Now, the interview I'm about to play you was from the Game Theorist channel. They managed to get in contact with Valerie, and this is what she had to say, so take a listen.
Helpful if you could introduce yourself. I have an idea of who you are in your relation to Nick Lyons, but I want to give you the opportunity to tell people in your own words so I can represent you the way you wish to be.
Hey, I'm Valerie Harris. Nick Lyons is an alias I used in the past for a couple projects. It's not actually my name, and it never was. Originally, that was all it was, an alias. Of all of my work, I never expected that to be the thing that blows up.
Tell me all about Ascensionism and Ascensionism Records. What was the inspiration when the project started? Who worked on it? What were the goals when it started?
I have this sort of obsession. I like to have a lot of Bandcamp URLs handy. Part of the reason is I like the idea of having this sort of disjointed presence, this fragmented maze of random remnants of information and art scattered across many different places, and then not actually telling anyone about them.
Now, what you just listened there was a person by the name of Valerie saying that, oh, Nick Lyons was just an alias I used to stay anonymous, and that the game isn't actually being used for a religion tool to use recruitment. It was just an art piece, which I can understand, but there is some misconceptions with her story as from my research. Now, the Bandcamp URL she is mentioning, it's not tied to her. In fact, a man by the name of Nick Lyons lives in Australia, and there's a bunch of interviews from other people who live in Australia that knew a man by the name of Nick Lyons and had this sort of same expression into Ascensionism as Valerie in the other clip.
Lyons.
Nick Lyons.
You remember Nick Lyons?
Yeah.
Does it ring bells?
Yeah, it does. Nick is someone who I used to work at Sovereign Hill with. Sovereign Hill is an open-air museum that is a recreation of what Ballarat was like during the gold rush years.
Okay.
Nick and I worked there as people who dressed up,
Right.
walked around the streets, and and Nick was a musician, so he would dress up as well, and he would play, and I just worked at Sovereign Hill with him.
Now, as you can clearly see, there are 2 stories kind of crossing each other's paths and not making really much sense. On the other hand, Valerie could be right. Valerie could be Nick Lyons, and she used that name as an alias to make a game about weird shit and used it as an art piece, like she said. Or on the other hand, that Nick Lyons is truly that one friend who was super into music, who is behind the Bandcamp URLs, who had a major involvement within the creation of the game and used it to provoke and used it to recruit people into his very weird and manipulative cult from what I've researched. It could all be real, it could all be fake, it could all be bullshit. I do not know. And that kind of sums up this whole religion in itself. The religion itself is super mysterious, and there's not many people you can really point fingers at and have a definitive answer of, this is that person, he created this. Everyone's a mystery. And the only thing I can really show to you that's fact is the involvement of the game. Now, that's going to have to wait till part 2. I know, I hate to leave on a cliffhanger, but this has been hard to edit, but goddamn, it's been fun to make. So stay in for part 2. Catch you all. Stay Kino, stay comfy, and as always, praise Jesus.